Hi, my name is Emily and I'm doing a lesson on solving linear equations and inequalities. For this lesson, I could use it in a middle school algebra class. The students in this class are just learning English, are of mixed levels in terms of math, and are mostly working at grade level. I modified this lesson from Desmos, however, I did make every slide and added ones I didn't have on Desmos. I would say about 90% is my own work. So the goal of this lesson is to have students understand how to solve and find solutions to linear equations and inequalities. In addition, they will learn how to graph and analyze inequalities. In terms of their understanding, I am assuming that students already know how to graph linear equations. The first slide is just an outline to the lesson. The second and third are warm-ups for graphing and creating linear equations. Then I ask students what they might already know if they know how to solve linear equations before I get into the actual lesson. Next, I explain one method of solving linear equations, which is by finding the x and y intercepts as solutions and have students practice this with their own graph that they created. Then I explain the second method, which is through graphing. I provide an example such as y equals 2x plus 1 and explain how that solutions are any points that lay on this line. After this, there are exercises for solving for finding solutions to linear equations, like verifying the solutions by plugging them into the equations, doing finding coordinates for equations that make it true, such as these, uh, verifying if the ordered pair is a solution, and also just finding the other coordinate if they're given one and making sure that it fits the equation. And the second part of this lesson is inequalities. I begin explaining how to graph inequalities and provide some examples. Then there are exercises such as selecting all that apply, true or false, creating their own equality and graphing it, and analyzing their own graphs. Also, there's others for selecting all that apply. And finally, and lastly, I describe how to solve inequalities using algebra and have students practice this also. And this is also drag the number tiles on top of the correct inequality. I thought this would be a more interesting activity. And lastly, the last three slides are challenges for students who might be more advanced. For example, the first one I think to me is more challenging because it involves fractions, and the last two include systems of linear equations and systems of inequalities, uh, which is not covered in this lesson, and therefore it could be a really big challenge for students that do want to try these out. I do, however, provide some hints in case the students do try them out on their own. In terms of design features, I did incorporate a variety of nouns, like students will be creating, selecting, finding, solving, verifying, analyzing, explaining answers, and even dragging number tiles. I also created activities that are easy to start but difficult to finish. As you can see, the first few slides are pretty easy, asking students to simply graph and solve equations. But by the end, the students have to explain their answers, analyze graphs, and do some challenges. And that concludes my lesson, so thanks for watching.